digital planning is supposed to be a good thing. But if you have watched YouTubers or other social media influencers or read books, especially those that are in the personal development niche, they often recommend that you have to plan or time block or journal as often as you can. And if you're like me, you probably have been sucked in pretty deep, and sometimes you might feel that you are doing something that is not right if you find yourself not using your digital planner every single day as you thought you would. Or sometimes you forget you even have one and forget to pick it up and write something down for days or weeks or even months, and you'll feel guilty that you haven't used it yet. And I am here to tell you that that is okay. Hi friends, I'm Keizle, and in today's video, let's talk about the possibility that you might be taking your digital planning way too seriously, and it might even be causing you to stop using those tools altogether. And while we chat about that, I will also show you the process on how I designed and created my digital planner for the month of May using my iPad and an Apple Pencil. There have been days these past few months that I was not able to use my digital planner every single day, whether it is because I'm too busy or I just don't feel like doing it. And I sometimes feel like I'm doing something wrong when I take those breaks from digital planning and journaling. And I have catch myself thinking that, and as myself and as ironic as it sounds, I took out my iPad and journal and reflected on it. And I realized that yes, digital planning is helpful, and it is true that journaling comes to mind, but sometimes they're also hard. The act of planning and journaling are at times difficult, and add that to the process that we have created for ourselves, especially when those processes are a little strict, makes this unnecessary friction that may cause burnout. It seems like journaling, planning, and time blocking are popular tools for personal development, and rightfully so because they often work. But a problem comes in when these supposed tools are used incorrectly, that instead of making the attainment of the goal easier, they become roadblocks for us. We have to remember that they are just tools, that they are supposed to help you and make your life easier, not make it harder and difficult. We have to look at them as tools as what they are, because if you remove the pressure of I have to plan or journal every day because a guru said so, and instead do them to play or to express yourself or to let your thoughts out, to create a guideline, not a step-by-step process to be followed to the T, to learn about yourself, to make sense of who you are, to develop your creativity, or to just be, to do it because you just like doing it. Oftentimes, we make them as habits and label ourselves as someone who do them, that when we take a break from those actions, we feel this pressure, and then we'll force ourselves to do these actions just because, and we'll reach a point where we'll decide that it isn't as fun as it used to be, and it's not helping us become a better person anymore, and we give up on it. And some of us will spiral down and think that maybe we are not meant to do them, that we are not cut out to be this kind of people who journals or who plans. But I think we just got sucked in with this personal development stuff that is becoming a little toxic. We are in the constant race of becoming better and better and better, and keeps on repeating these actions, and we forget our reasons on why we are doing it, that we have forgotten why we did it in the first place, that we have forgotten to use them as tools, not check boxes we have to do every single day. So if you resonate with this, stay tuned, because we are going to talk about how you can avoid the mistakes that will lead you to give up and not enjoy digital planning and journaling anymore. But first, let me talk about this digital planner that I am designing and creating for the month of May. I recently went to Saitama, specifically the Candy Alley, and there were a lot of old Japanese buildings there, and I was able to snap some photos, and one of the photos is a kiosk, and I found it interesting, so I decided to use it as an inspiration for my May digital planner design. I first made a sketch, and it took around 30 to 40 minutes to create, and then spent some more time for the line works. I used to only create one sketch, a very rough one, of my drawings and go straight line works. But after playing around with the process, I realized that although creating 2 or more sketches with varying levels of details feels like the process takes longer, it also makes the drawing more put together and the process easier. And for this kiosk illustration, I think I created 2 sketches before starting the line work. I don't actually have a definite process on which elements to color first. I often jump around, but one thing is for sure, it is that I use multiple layers for the colors. Using multiple layers makes changing the colors later on to be easier. And as you can see, the process takes quite a long time. But I have been very interested and always inspired with the old buildings and architectures here in Japan, and it is always a joy to create art about them. This has been one of the driving forces on why I have been more consistent with digital planning lately, because the process of creating the very planner that I use for the rest of the month is already fun for me, and to always see my artwork every single day brings me joy, and I think that that is one of the missing pieces when we find ourselves stopping using our digital planners. We have lost interest because we have taken out the me part in the process. Yes, it takes quite a long time, but it doesn't really matter that much for me because I find it fun. I find it inspirational. I create the art and the digital planner not to impress others or improve my art. They are sometimes the result of the action but not the reason. I do it because I like it. And I think that is one way on how to avoid the burnout. We have to enjoy the process because we often attach meanings and reasons to all our actions when the simplest reason of just because is often overlooked. Another thing that brings pressure to digital planning is this self-inflicted pressure that we put onto ourselves, especially when we see these beautiful, colorful, and very put together digital planner setups in the internet. Maybe even with this video right now, you might feel pressured to create an art to add to your digital planner, or you see these beautiful photos in Pinterest or Instagram and you feel this need to have the stickers and the digital planners and apps and iPad accessories that you end up feeling overwhelmed. I think it is great to admire those digital planner setups and feel inspired by them, but if we put this internal pressure to replicate them or outdo them and then adding this internal dialogue of I should do this, I should do that, instead of asking ourselves the question of should I do this, should I add that? If the simplest system of writing your to-do list to a dotted page in the GoodNotes app works for you, why add those pressure to add elaborate artworks if it's not your jam? It is okay to use the simplest digital planner setup system because it's just a tool. This is the reason why you have to know your why. Why are you doing this? For me, I want to create an order in my life through planning, and I want to capture my thoughts to figure out what are the things that I think about. And at the same time, I want to explore my creativity by making digital illustrations. I find joy when I do these things. That is why I continue to do them. Another example of when we are taking digital planning way too seriously is when we overthink digital planning itself. We often overcomplicate it. Just because you can write 100 things that you can do doesn't mean that you have to add them in the next 2 days. Set yourself up for success. Create systems that will help you feel great at the end of the day or throughout the day, whether you are able to do one single thing in your to-do list or 10. This is why I often use the top 3 priorities method, where I identify the top 3 things that I have to do for the day. Sometimes I don't even have 3, sometimes I only have 1, and this removes the pressure to check all the tasks in my to-do list and end up burning myself out. And it also clarifies which of my tasks are the most important ones. Because I know myself that when I am presented with a lot of stuff, I often panic, and to avoid spiraling down to that not so good place, I have to use these systems that will guarantee that I win. And it has been working so far, so I will continue using that. So summing it all up, remember that digital planning is a tool and you have to use it as it is. This is why you have to know your reasons of doing it. It is also okay to be inspired with those other digital planner users, but don't pressure yourself to do the same setups and systems that they use because they already identified what works for them. You can try using their systems, but you can totally abandon it if it's not working for you. It is okay to explore because you want to, not because you have to. And lastly, do not overwhelm yourself with your to-do list or to journal every single day. It is okay to just do one task a day or to not journal every day if you do not feel like doing it. Because remember, it is just a tool. If you have thoughts about this topic, let me know in the comments section below. I hope you have a great time digital planning, and this is Keizle, and until next time, bye!